You're live, it says on the screen to me. Hopefully everything is working out nicely and all of the audio equipment is working. I just muted it there. My apologies. This is the Sunday service and you are welcome to it. Glad to have you aboard. It's great. Look at all the likes that are happening already. My God, you guys are in like Flynn. I love it. I have on my mobile as well. I have a mobile here in front of me. Keep coming. You're pretty good. I'll give you all a chance to get in there. There's Eric Rochford is in. Stephen Finn is in. You howdy guys. 13, 14, 15. Woo. We're flying along this morning. Hopefully you're all having a lovely Sunday. Must be raining because there's so many is on straight away. My God, I made coffee. You could trot a little mouse across top of that coffee. It's really good. There's David Stafford as well. I just breached, yes, well spotted, Stephen Flynn. I just breached the 28,000 subscribers this morning, which just ticked over. I noticed this morning when I was watching the tick over of the Audi A6 video, which just suddenly popped up and went a little bit, not viral, but it's heading that direction. Even Audi Ireland liked it. So I'm quite happy with that. I didn't think it would because I kind of criticised the car in places. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It looks good. I'm quite happy. I'm sure BMW and Mercedes don't particularly like it, but that's not the problem. Yeah, so 28,000 subs this morning. It's quite nice. We'd love to reach the 30,000 subs a bit quicker. But we're getting there. It's moving forward. It's progress. It's all about progress. All about little things. Plenty of patience. Plenty of time. There's no big hurry on getting there. You will have noticed in the Audi A6 video an increase in sort of quality, I suppose you could say. I invested a lot of the money and bits that have come in over the last few months into camera equipment, sound equipment, audios, into things to latch bigger cameras to the windows of the car to remain steady. I hated the kind of bounce that some of the cameras that I had before, so I've invested a lot of bits and pieces into that. So that's really good. That's where all that's going. And this would definitely not be possible without the kind support of the sponsors who come on here and sponsor bits and pieces as well. And I'm delighted to welcome back Clearwater.ie. Clearwater Technologies, they're in Carrick-on-Shannon. And you can check them out. There's a link down below, Clearwater.ie. Check that out down there. They're a really good sponsor, long-term sponsor. One of the first people to put their hand in the air and said that they sponsored the thing. So it's absolutely brilliant. Thanks, John, for all the support you've given us so far. And they're back on to support us again for another little while. So hopefully that'll go well. And hopefully you're all keeping up with the podcast version of this. This is a live stream here on YouTube, but it's actually a podcast as well. You can get it in iTunes. Just search for my name, Bob Flavin, in iTunes, and you'll see it there. And download it and install it. It's really popular podcast now. It's actually nearly as popular there as it is here. So that's the numbers are getting quite large now. About 5,500, 6,000 people watch this live stream or listen to this live stream. So between the two, you're talking a massive amount of people. So I'm quite happy with that. That's really good. That's moving forward, progress as well. There's tons and tons of content to come out yet. I was editing this morning. The Skoda Karoq video I was editing this morning. Lovely ink blot things going on and all sorts of quality stuff happening there too. And I was out filming this morning as well, which is the Volkswagen T-Roc. I was filming today. So I do work 7 days a week. I do film every day, and it's really, really good. But don't take up this career unless you really can work 8 days a week. Let's look through who's asking what already. Click the like button on your way in. Please just let YouTube know what's happening. It doesn't tell all your friends and family you watch this in case you want to watch this furtively in the back of your room somewhere. So click the like button. That just makes YouTube go, oh, look, there's something happening over there. And YouTube is the pits at the moment. But yeah, we're getting through it. We're getting through it. I am well, John Tay. Thank you very much. Morning in Minsk. James O'Connell, thanks very much on the 28K. Yeah, 28,000 people are watching these days. Aaron Pinto, thank you. James, Carl Connorable, thank you. It was the AH. Yes, my apologies. The AA video was yesterday. Henry Healy likes the AA video. 28K, that's brilliant. Yep. That went out Friday. Did that go out on Friday or something? Anyway, 3,000 something people have watched it now. The number you see on the screen actually lags behind a real amount of viewers because YouTube do all sorts of weird crap in the background to it, but it's getting there. It's getting there. That's the important part. I never expected it to be actually that popular because those luxury barge cars, I suppose, aren't really popular as a video thing. I've done them before. I've done the 8 before, the Audi, the BMW 7 Series. Never got the S-Class on a video. I've driven it a couple of times, but never had it long enough to get a video of it. But anyway, But I'm glad you all like the A8. That's the direction we're going to be taking from now on. If you want to support that direction, please subscribe here. And also, if you wouldn't mind clicking out the links down below for support on PayPal, Patreon. That's the direction I want to go in. I want to make all the videos that kind of quality. That is still just me. There's still only me making the videos, editing the videos and a whole lot, but it just gives me a little bit longer to spend putting the video together and creating the whole thing if I financially, if I can get all that sort of stuff squared away. So any support you can give, it doesn't matter if it's £2 or 100 quid or 1,000 quid or whatever it is you can give is fabulous. Thank you very much. Actually, I have to give a shout out to someone who's already did the PayPal deal this morning. I have to say thank you to Andy Friel, who stuck in some money into PayPal this morning. You're very kind. You're very good. It's like a little tip jar. It was really nice. That is the kind of support that works really, really well here. And that's why the Audi A8 video looked like buttery smooth and looked like some. Actually, Dave O'Byrne texted me and said it looked like a section out of Top Gear. So I'm quite happy with that kind of thing. Where else was I? Which one would you go for? Oh, we're into questions. We're into actual questions. Oh, right, okay. Here we go. Let's get my question head on. Which one would you go for? Kodiaq or Allspace GT if same engine and spec? I think visually the Kodiaq has it. I think it looks nicer. I think the Allspace, Tiguan Allspace, looks like a bit's been put in the middle of an ordinary Tiguan. And I think that's because it kind of confuses the matter. Whereas the Kodiaq seems to have that kind of good, big look to it. Now, the problem with Kodiaq is getting one, George. There is quite a backlog from the factory at the moment. And it's clearing down, but it's not clearing down very quickly. So you could be waiting a few months for a Kodiaq, whereas the Allspace might be in production for you straight away. I would still go Kodiaq. The spec is going to be slightly higher even in the basic version of the Kodiaq over the Allspace. You're going to get the kind of ice scraper thing, and you're going to get, you know, there's a few bits and pieces in it, like the umbrellas and things that are in the doors. They're standard. I don't know if they're in the doors anymore. They might be under the seats these days, but they're still in there. Eric Rocher says, sound quality has definitely improved for the videos. I actually changed the audio thing. I'm using 2 mics, so there's like 3 mics now total on the video. The biggest problem with cars is the car itself, the noise the car makes. The road surfaces are often either amplified or they're knocked off by the audio system. So sometimes I use a Zoom H2 or H4N, and other times I'll use a lapel mic that goes into, it's a Rode, it's around here somewhere, Rode lapel mic that goes into the camera or goes into my phone, and I record it that way. So there's 2 or 3 different versions of how I record audio on it, and I usually use a mix of which one was the best one at the time. The Audi A8 was easy because the car is insanely quiet when it's driving, so that was a handy little thing to have. But on louder cars or noisier cars or cars with tire roar, it's very hard to get rid of the noise out of the thing. Hi Martin O'Neill, how are you doing? Footy Ferrari says, what cars are you driving coming week? So it's a question. I have to look at my calendar. I don't even know. I think tomorrow is a Skoda Karoq 1 litre. Yes, it is. The 1 litre petrol is tomorrow. I'm also driving a Lexus LC next week, the LC 500H. I'll have that for the rest of the week. I'm going to a book launch tomorrow as well in somewhere in Mercedes. And also this week is the Dublin Tech Summit, which Casey Neistat's going to be at, and a few others are going to be at, and I'm going to try and hook up with those guys there. I have a really good exclusive thing in the middle of that as well to do with cars. It's especially for you guys. That's the Dublin Tech Summit. I'm going to be there Wednesday and probably Thursday as well, so that should be an interesting day. If you're at the Tech Summit, come and say hi. I'll be around the place. Just text me or whatever, you know, email me or tweet me or something. I'll be there for the 2 days. I'm hoping to hook up with Casey on the Wednesday, I think. I don't know. And there's a few other bits on this. It's a really busy week coming this week. It's crazy. And then the week after is the Fiesta ST line again as well. Nissan Leaf for a full test is on around the same week. Volvo XC40 is not far away. Mercedes CLS was supposed to launch in Ireland in the next couple of weeks. They cancelled that because they can't get them, which I find a little bit weird. And then I'm going to do a thing called Electronomus event, which is I'm going to drive an electric car from Dublin to Kerry somewhere, or Tralee or something. And that's going to be quite a big event. That's on the way. That's definitely coming. There's loads of videos coming. Loads and loads and loads and loads of videos coming, but we'll see. Stephen Finn says, I wonder how long it'll take until someone asks, what car did you drive yourself? What new car to buy? That's unfortunately, well, fortunately and unfortunately, there's new subscribers coming all the time. I mean, new people join me every week here. This live stream thing has been revelation for people. People don't realize this actually happens. And they can ask any question they want, which is live straight away. So, and I run it like a radio show. So because new people come every week, you get that same kind of question that pops up the whole time. Which car would you choose? I don't mind that one question, but the other one is what car would you drive? So it's to say it, Leon. It's my own car. It's still my own car. I still haven't gotten rid of it. I'm not going to either. I love it. I don't want to jinx it, you know. God, that's strong. That's really strong coffee. I'm like fueled by coffee. Darren Fahey says, Bob, I don't drink Kenco coffee, by the way. I drink nice coffee, good coffee that you buy, you know, in the packet and make it yourself. We give up the Kenco thing. And I'm making bread today as well. So I have a bread over there proving at the moment. So busy day. Bob, I test drove an i3 Rex in Galway last week. What a fantastic car. If only it wasn't so dear. Well, the problem is, Darren, as well, there's a couple of problems with that i3. One is it's going to date, I think. I think the design, the overall design feature will look a little dated in a couple of years because that's what's after happening to the i8s. If you look at the i8 now, it's not such a fantastic design anymore. It didn't age well. And now it looks a little bit like a cartoon character or something. And I loved it. I loved driving it when it came out first. But I think, and I know a couple of owners of i8s as well who since sold them and got rid of them very quickly, didn't hold on to them very long. And it's because it's not aging well. I think the i3 will go the same way. The biggest drawback I have with the i3 is that you have to open the front doors to open the back doors. That really, really aggravated me during the week with the kids getting into the car and going, oh, God. And you want to pick up a passenger, put them in the back seat to get out of the car to open the doors. Despite it being a four-door, open the back doors and all that. I wouldn't, at the moment, I wouldn't necessarily invest in i3. I think there'll be another i3 along soon, which will look a little bit more subtle. Look at the way the Nissan Leaf is after going. It went from looking really out there to now looking quite traditional but sharp. And I think that's the direction that electric cars will be going in very soon. So, but it is, you're right, an i3 isn't exactly the cheapest option in the entire world. Click that like button, everybody. 65 of you is watching here, 47 likes. So hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. If you've never been here before, do it all, right? Just click the subscribe button. Where were we? Pablo says, I have heard a lot of people buying damaged repairable cars from the UK and bringing them into Ireland, fixing them and saving a fortune when all the fees and paid, including VRT. What's your opinion? It depends on level of damage. I have no problem. Cars get damaged all the time. Many cars in Ireland are repaired from damage. There is a system of being written off, however. So when a car gets to a point that it costs more to fix it than you would get by selling it. That's what happens there. So the insurance company put a value on your car. The value might be, we say it's 10 grand, right? The car crashes and it's going to cost 12 grand or even 8 grand to repair. At this point, the finance has gone out of it. So they do a thing called writing it off. And at that point, it's meant to be scrapped. So once it's scrapped, it's meant to be destroyed. So it goes for recycling and crushing and whatever, you know, the fuel get drained out and all that sort of stuff. At that point, the car should never exist again. The VIN plate goes away, the license plate's finished, everything's finished, the car no longer exists. There was a point one time where people would cut a car in half. If the car was crashed in the back, they cut the front off and attach it to a good back. And that was, you know, conjoining two cars, which of course is a massive safety problem. Not really possible anymore because chassis don't work like that anymore. Chassis are all floating bits now. But if you were importing a damaged car from the UK and you got it on a really reasonable thing and it's not on the write-off list, I mean, it's still good and you bring it in and you know what you're doing, you get it repaired, you get it NCT and it passes the NCT, I don't see a problem with it. The problem exists that dealers are importing cars as well. So if ordinary people aren't allowed to import cars, then dealers shouldn't be allowed to import cars. So it's pretty much straightforward like that. But I have no problem. Once all VRTs are paid and everything else, I don't have a problem with any people doing an import. Do the deal where you can get the deal done. Simple as that. How long would it take you to edit a video and what software do you use? So the A8 video took about 4 hours, absolutely rock solid, straight to edit. But I had a very clear idea of what I wanted at the end of it. So if a video is not very clear, if a video, not necessarily mine, but I'm editing somebody else's video and it's not a terribly clear end to the video, it can often take 3 or 4 days to have a good shot at it. So, but on average, you're talking about putting in 4 or 5 hours, absolutely straight time So that might be over 2 days, 2 hours today, 3 hours tomorrow, 4 hours day after, whatever it be, to put in the video. The software I use mostly is Final Cut Pro. I work on a Mac. Final Cut Pro isn't. If you have a Mac and you're using Premiere Pro, you're an idiot, right? I know this may sound like bad news. I used Premiere Pro for years. I know what it's like when I use a Windows machine. Once I got a Mac, I went to Final Cut Pro. The reason behind that is because Premiere Pro is so slow, it's expensive, it's ongoing price, it always costs more money. Final Cut Pro is about 350 euro, 325 euro or something. That's it. That's the end of it. It doesn't cost any more than that. Whereas Premiere Pro used to be 900 quid at one time, 800, 700. Huge money investment for Premiere Pro. And it's not very good. It's very crashy. It's very awkward to use. It can be hard. It's better at audio, but Final Cut Pro is better at visuals. So where were we? So that's the software I use. About 5 hours for editing, maybe. Then maybe 4.5 hours of filming. So you can imagine if you're trying to filming into that as well. I went out this morning at 9 o'clock. I was back by 12 for filming. So I have to drive a car. I have to edit. I have to get the footage. I have to put the cameras in there to get the drone out. To do all that's 3, 4, 5 hours to do that sort of stuff. Then infill videos, so just B-roll stuff that I film on the day after maybe. And then you go the other end of that scale, you start editing, 4 or 5 hours of that, then uploading, then answering the questions from those videos, so going back over the comments. It is a full-time, totally full-time job, without a shadow of a doubt. George Websdale, good afternoon. How are you, sir? You're looking well. I like I can't really see your, it's a very small little thing, but you do have an icon over your head. Dennis O'Hare, hi Bob, would it be safe to buy a second-hand Tesla Model S? Whoa, that's a good question. Tesla would have the longest range, Dennis, yes. And I saw a report this morning saying after 160,000 miles, that Tesla had lost 10% of its range, so 10% of its battery capacity, which they claim is a good thing. I don't know if a car has lost 10% of its power over 160,000 miles. I mean a petrol car. But yeah, second-hand, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem, but I would look at warranty and who's selling it and why they're selling it, because there isn't another Model S. So there isn't, like, there's a Model S that came out. It's gotten some extra cameras and some software updates, but pretty much it's the same Model S that was out 5 years ago. But if you can get one at a reasonable price, I would be very, very cautious of that one, but reasonable price, because currently, I mean, if you're buying a Model S P100 at the moment, you're talking about 100 grand, brand new. So what's a second-hand one? Is it P80 maybe? You know, the lower range one. And then you got to look at what Nissan are doing at the moment. There's going to be a 60 kilowatt battery coming out sometime next year. There's already a 40 kilowatt one coming out. Volkswagen are just on the brink of bringing out a longer range Golf. So they're all going that direction. Is there some reason why you need a Model S? Tesla? Maybe you like Tesla. That's it. Stephen Finn says, heads up, Bob, on your links for PayPal and Patreon are joined together, so it's broken link. Currently need a space before the Patreon one. Really? Is it? Okay, I will check that immediately. Funny enough, this thing doesn't let you go into something else. I hope that visual hasn't just suddenly dropped off the face of the planet there, because I'm just going into a different tab to flick in and out of my own screen. We'll check that, but use the PayPal link, please. Need a space for the Patreon one. All right. All right. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll do it in a few minutes. Be grand. Don't want to screw this up. PayPal link below doesn't work with me, or it looks like the link you're looking for doesn't exist. All right, okay. Well, anyway, okay. Maybe I messed up. Maybe I messed it up in the typo system. Hang on. Everyone stay where you are. Nobody move. Nobody move. I'm just messing around. Oh, yeah, I see. I see what's wrong. I'm going to edit that right now. So, edit. Can I edit that now? Talk amongst yourselves. No, that ain't going to work. Okay, so that PayPal link doesn't work. Yeah, I got you. Right. I can't fix that right now, but if you go to paypal.com and find Bob Flav at thenextgear.com, you will find me without a shadow of a doubt. I am definitely on PayPal. Patreon, I can't speak for. I am on Patreon. You can search me on Patreon without a doubt. You will find me there too. Patreon.com, Bob Flavin. Sorry, I'm actually looking at different screens, so I'm not necessarily looking at the camera there. I'm looking at a different screen, right? I'm trying to get in around the back of live streaming. It's very hard. It's very clunky here, YouTube. When you're actually live streaming, trying to get into the live streaming bits of it is this getting there? No. Right, the connection is good. It still won't let me edit the bit at the bottom though. Info and settings, maybe. Oh yeah, here we go. Right, okay. Yeah, so Clearwater doesn't work, so PayPal needs a line break, and that needs a line break as well. Right. Save settings, save changes. That should change the settings on the PayPal links and stuff at the bottom. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that was there. It just needed a line break, I think. All the links should still work. Yeah. PayPal.com. It's actually paypal.me/Bob Flavin or patreon.com/the next gear. You will find me on both of those. And don't forget to check out clearwater.ie as well, who is also a lovely Patreon of discount. Snazbot. Oh, wait, now that just jumped forward to me. You could put frequently asked questions on the screen. I could, if I had any sort of control over it like that, I could do that. But what I'm using is YouTube's own proprietary system. I was trying to use another system as well. You can download a free yoke, but it's really complicated. I mean, like, it's just hard. It's really hard work. And I just always wanted to kind of go live and be active and just do it rather than have to set up things for 5 hours and try to get cutaways and all that sort of other codology goes with it. What do you think about the new Ford Focus was revealed this week? That's a good question, because I was looking at that and it reminds me drastically of a Hyundai i30. It just does. i30, i40, something like, anything Korean. It really does look that kind of way. Maybe it'll look different in the metal. I'd love to drive it first. The Focus has always been the kind of pinnacle of driving. Well, not always, but it's been the original Focus was the original pinnacle of driving of a 5-door hatchback. And it was really good, but the modern ones have kind of gotten sloppier and slower. I don't like it, is the answer to that question, the new Ford Focus. The look of it might look different in the metal, maybe look different colors. There is an estate version I've seen a photo of, looks okay as well. It's hard to tell where it's going to go. We'll see what to do with it. I'm not sure they use their focus group properly, put it that way. I've seen a lot of talk about the death of the sedan, with several models being cancelled here in the States due to escalating SUV crossover sales. How do you feel about that? Saloon was only ever, sedan is called American Saloon, it is here. The sedan or saloon was only ever really popular Ireland, China, and America, and some parts of Australia, New Zealand, kind of lower Asia. The hatchback has always been the thing. The SUV was always bigger in America. It's become big over here. Crossover here has become the thing to have these days. So there's a lot going on. I don't know death of sedan, but yeah, it is very possible that they'll get rid of that sort of thing, so they don't need it. Hi, Bob. Do you know of any scrappage deals coming up on 182? Not so far, although keep an eye on what Nissan are at. They're already sold out of Leaf, and they were going to run a scrappage scheme. They got rid of that just because they can't get any bloody Leafs to deal with it. But it is running out, but I don't know of any. No one has announced to me a scrappage deal for 182 yet. It might be a little bit early at the moment, Kieran. I said they won't know what they're going to be doing until probably just coming up to the brink of June. I said to just release it all of a sudden. Sales are most definitely down. They will be looking to do deals without a shadow of a doubt in your local dealership. Don't ever underestimate the deals that they will do, because it is a difficult time for them to be in right now, because sales in March were down 10.3 or something percent. I think it's the beginning of the year. It's like, it's a lot. I forget what the exact figure is, but it's a hell of a lot of it. Healy says, about the i8, I sat in one last weekend at the BMW World in Munich. Good God, you couldn't live with one. Getting in that nightmare. Yeah, it is, but it wasn't ever meant to. See, that's the problem. It was meant as a sports performance car. It ended up being a 1.5 litre petrol with an electric engine. Now, it sounds deadly, but it's all fake. It was meant to be. I saw the initial concept, the initial prototype model was brought here to Ireland and actually brought into a premises here, and they brought out the designer to show us the design of a folding paper, and then the i8 came out. It was very cool, but I think the i3 will be the same. I think you'll feel about the same about the i3 in a couple of years' time. It's just a difficult place to be on that one. They're very remarkable looking cars, and that's always a problem. always a problem. If something's really remarkable, it can often be polarizing later on in its lifetime. But yeah, getting in and out of an i8 is never that easy in the first place. The thing that, hello, Ram64 Man. Ram64 Man. I've never seen that name before. I'm just thinking. The thing that bothered me about the i3 was the interior going EV. Doesn't mean you don't want to drive a recycled spin on everything. Yeah, well, I liked how they did it. I like the dashboards made from donkey jackets and things. It was like everything was recycled. And the way the i in BMW is built it's designed to be that way. It's designed to be all about recycling, about low CO2. And that's cool. But let's make some good cars that last a long time, and you know, cars we'll want to see again in 10 years' time. That's where people spend their money. If you're going to spend 100 grand a car, you don't want it to go out of fashion. Like a car shouldn't go out of fashion. A car should be ahead of the posse and look good in 10 years' time. And I think that's why a lot of owners in Ireland got rid of their i8s very quickly. The i3, although it's a great car, I love the i3, especially with the range extender. It is very expensive, and that range extender engine is like 3.5 grand or something to boot. It's basically a BMW motorbike engine. What car would you recommend as the best value for money for nearly new? That's an impossible question. There's too many cars. There's no way to be able to tell best value for money. There's tons and tons and tons of cars that are really good value for money. You look at any band, they all know the prices. There's no one really giving a very cheap car out there all of a sudden. So there isn't really one. A city car, the ones I look at most right now for myself would be a Skoda Fabia, Volkswagen Polo. Both of those are kind of similar cars. Polo slightly bigger on the inside. Fabia is a great car though. Nissan Leaf, Volkswagen e-Golf. It's a bit expensive, but it's a very good car. City car again. It's 5-door hatchback with 5 seats, and it's a clever car. John McAvoy says, "Where do you live?" I live in Ireland, in Portlaoise. If you watch any of the videos, make sure you subscribe, John McAvoy. You obviously don't subscribe because I'm always talking about Portlaoise in the videos. Michael Mangan, 2015 diesel auto Merc E BMW 5 Series or Audi A6. What's your 1, 2, 3, and why? One is the Audi A6, but only in Quattro form. The A6 in front-wheel drive is actually, it's good, but it's boring in comparison to the Quattro version of it. Only all 3 of those should be auto. Do never ever pick a manual version of any one of those cars. Second class of BMW Merc E. I think the Mercedes E-Class, one of the finest cars on the road. It's being beaten ever so slightly because Audi have a better interior and a better setup on their software system, and their connectivity system is better on an Audi head and shoulders. And then final place BMW 5 Series. It's dropped back into third. I put that on in fourth or fifth at this stage. And the reason behind that is because it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. If you put up in a 5 Series in a Dunstores car park, you might lose it by the time you come back out. They're everywhere. It's not the luxury brand. It's not what it's meant to be. And plus, they're pushing the 4-wheel drive version. I don't know what they call that. It's X-Drive, they call it. They're pushing that very, very hard, which pushes their uniqueness of being rear-wheel drive away into 4-wheel drive. So they're competing with Audi on that front, and Audi are the masters of Quattro. The E-Class is a better thing to drive because of rear-wheel drive, it'll feel good. But my 1, 2, 3 is Audi A6, Mercedes E-Class, and BMW 5 Series. Be the 3 of those. John McAvoy, hi Bob, I'm training to be a pilot. Congratulations, I did some pilot training myself. I can fly a plane to some degree. If I really concentrate hard, I can fly a plane. My God, hold on, fast, I'm losing the air. Trying to be a pilot, I need a new car. I live in Laois and drive to Dublin every day. Would you advise a Dacia, and so which one? If you're training, so if you're driving from Laois to Dublin every single day, all you really want is a thing to commute in, right? And I know that may seem like a bad advice. Dacia would be okay, but they are kind of noisy on the road. It will drive you up the wall. But if you're stuck on a budget, they're fine. You know, a Dacia Duster 1.5 or 1.6, I think it is now, DCI. But the DCI engine's a really old, really long-term engine. Been around for years. That's not a bad thing. It's very reliable. But the Dacia interior and comfort on that long drive is going to be right behind the hole. But if you've got a limited budget, definitely Dacia is a good way to go. If you want to step up from that, you could probably get something like a Nissan Pulsar, somewhere in the same region of price, or a Qashqai, used Qashqai. You're going to get a little better interior. It's nice as well. If you're in Laois, you can drop into Downey's uptown as well. Here, he's got a good selection of stuff up there as well. Alternative to that, again, you want to step a little bit further, Kia Sportage. You're in that same sort of region. It's not terribly much more expensive, and it's a hell of a lot better interior. And it's a nicer thing to drive. It's a nicer thing to own. It's a long drive every day. Although you just want a commuter car, it is a long drive every day, John. I've done it for a year there when I was working the Indo. So it's a pain in the hole. But I'd go Dacia Duster or Sandero. They're both okay. Sandero is probably slightly better, but it's a lot smaller. But it is very reasonably priced. Hi, Bob. Spent this morning washing and polishing the car. Do you professionals, dealers use a specific brand of polish you get in a showroom gleam, or have you found any wonder product? There's no good product. I used to use Maguire's for my own car. Maguire's, I think it's called Maguire's. It's an American brand. A fella gave me a bottle at a show one time. It was this kind of clay element to a slight grit to it now. But when I used it on the car, it left this beautiful sheen that seemed to last for a long time. So I do recommend Maguire's. There's another brand called Auto Glim, which I've used for years. I've used particularly the white kind of polish that they use. It's very good, but if you leave even the smallest trace of it on your car, you get this white streak and this white powder and all the grits and doors. So it's not a pain in the hole in that respect. But there is, as you just said, showroom gleam. There is a showroom shine thing you can get from Auto Glim, which is a spray thing. So when you're driving your car and it's polished and cleaned and you're going to a car show, you can use a spray to kind of give it one extra shine just when you get there, which is quite nice. But there's no particular good product. Washing a car, here's the best tip I'll ever give you. Washing a car. Go and buy the cheapest brand. Go into Tesco's or Dunn's or something. Buy the cheapest brand women's shampoo, right? You know the shampoo, the big bottles of shampoo. You get them quite cheap. A Schwarzkopf make them or something. That's the best shampoo. The one with the conditioner built into it is very good. Gives this perfect shine, and you find a lot of the guys use that stuff out there. I use that myself as well. Just ordinary hair shampoo as the wash for the product. Noel Elliott, hi Bob. Golf GTD, GT or GTI? GTI. GTD is fine. Good car, great car, but I don't know the future of diesel at the moment. GT, does that even exist anymore? Anyway, GTI is a petrol engine car. You're never going to go far wrong. You're always going to have the brand of GTI, and a little bit more expensive, but I'd still go with GTI. It's a lovely car to drive. If you can get one in DSG, if you can, DSG is a lovely thing to be driving. And just to add credence to that as well, I actually know for a fact that Jeremy Clarkson bought a Golf GTI. So there you go, as his own car, the car he drives around London like. And no matter what anyone tells you, there's nobody in the world reviews a car like Jeremy Clarkson. Just saying, one of the best riders in the world. Jet Fuel 12 says, looking to change the car at the mo for a newish good spec petrol auto and can hardly find anything. Diesel dominance is infuriating. Well, that's what happens, unfortunately, when you got currently in Ireland, nearly 95% of the car park out there, all of the cars in Ireland are diesel. That is the biggest problem we've had for years now. I've been saying it. If you look back, when I did the Volkswagen Up video, which I think is 4 years old or something, in the middle of that, I said that petrol's back. And here we go again. Petrol's going to be brilliant in the future, and this is a great engine and all that sort of stuff. And 4 years later, we're still looking at all these diesels that are out there. That is the biggest problem at the moment, is we haven't got enough petrols on the road. Although petrol actually emits a little bit more CO2 than the modern, very modern diesels, like EU6 diesels, will put out less CO2 than modern petrols. But it's the NOx, it's all that problem. If you're looking for petrol at the moment, it's a big issue. Robs says, hey Bob, please say BMW 3 Series. 3 Series. You know, everybody, that 33 and a third, all these kind of things that Irish people say. We don't pronounce THs properly in Ireland. Never have. We have our own unique language in Europe, which is always wonderful. We're not from England, which means we don't say things the way English people say. You'll find that Welsh people say things slightly different in England, and you'll find Scottish people have their own language themselves. They speak Gaelic as well. So we've all got our own kind of unique way of going on, but 3 has been a problem in Ireland, the way we say tree and 3, that like a tree that grows in a yard, and then the number 3, which is TH. We don't do THs very well in Ireland. No one does. Although there is a language change going on in Ireland at the moment. There's a lot of people who say roundabout wrong. The reverse things is very annoying. Miss Robinson says, hi Bob, currently have a Pirelli run flats on my Passat and gives a bit of uncomfortable ride. You're Sure it does, yeah. What tires do you recommend that are more comfortable? There is a Bridgestone Turanza that I was looking at the other day, very reasonably priced, really comfortable. It is on the T-Rock outside the door at the moment. I find them really good, really good. Good grip, good comfortable. They're quiet, they go on. So check out Bridgestone Turanza. They do all the fitments. It is a standard Bridgestone tire. There is also a couple of tires from Continental that I can't get a brand name right now, but there's the kind of standard one that Continental put on VW as well. And that's pretty good. But definitely, I definitely know Turanzas because I have Turanza on my own car and I chose it last time myself. So Mohammed Al-Zenobi just says the S word. Well, congratulations. Come all this far. You got yourself on the internet. It's modern 2018, and that's the best thing about it. But congratulations. Well done. See you later. Bob, says Derek Meads. French cars. What's the story? They have a bad name, but Renault are making some cracking-looking cars at the moment, like the Megane Saloon. Would you buy one? Most of the bad name, stuff that's left over from Renault or Fiat or anything like that, comes from the 70s and 80s. It really does. Ireland has a terribly long name. Now, some of the more modern French cars have electrical problems, right? That comes from the 90s and into the noughties, where you see some of the 00 and 01, 02 cars driving on the road in front of you. They press the brakes and the indicators come on, right? Because the way the electrics are hooked up. So that can happen. That can happen to any car. Now, Renault's particularly had a bad rap at one point as well because they were manufactured all over the place. They went through some manufacturing problems. European manufacturers couldn't keep up with what Japanese manufacturers were doing, but we're still back in the 90s. The modern Renaults and the modern Fiats and the modern everything have so few problems because it all comes down to recalls. I mean, everything is recalled so fast now. There's a problem that it barely gets going. My favorite looking Renault at the moment is a Renault Scenic. I think it looks deadly. I just really think that looks great. There's a video on my channel. Renault Megane looks good. Interior, maybe. I'm not too sure I like that huge big pad thing in the middle that Renault do. I don't know. It's fussy. And I find that Renault often are fussy when it comes to connectivity and, you know, the way things hook up and the way things work inside. And their steering wheel position is a bit odd. But other than that, I wouldn't have a problem recommending any of the Renault brand cars. They're great. The Megane Saloon is a lovely car. Megane Estate is a very practical, very reasonably priced car. And you get a fairly decent spec as well, Derek. So I have no problem recommending Renaults. But reliability-wise, just start looking at recalls. You see how many recalls all the car companies have. Toyota tend to be very public about their recalls. Renault don't tend to be. They don't tend to put out big words. They just kind of recall the cars quietly among all the people and get them fixed and put it back on the road. I have no problem with Renault. The only thing about French cars, they don't trade in. This is just straight up, and I know this for a fact. They don't trade in at the same high value you get for European cars, mainly because the European manufacturers support a higher rate of trade-in. They mind their prices very well. French manufacturers don't do it so well. They're not as desirable. If you go down the Renault route, you tend to be stuck getting Renaults in the future. You know, you tend to go back to the Renault dealer because that's where you get the best price. So if you don't mind that kind of thing, it's not a big deal. You could write Seat Leon and Audi RS3 on a whiteboard over your shoulder. A low-tech solution to the fact. I love it. Stick it over here somewhere. Yeah, just say Seat Leon, Audi RS3. Bob, is it safe to get your car detailed that involves removing a thin layer of paint in order to restore the original color strength common in the UK? Yeah, it is. Detailed it's a clay. So you can do it yourself, actually, John, to be honest with you. You could go to, Halfords, I know have it, but I prefer to support your local manufacturer. But you can go to Halfords and pick up detailing clay, right? So it is actually a clay. And what it does is go over the coat of your car. So your car should have maybe 3-4 layers of paint on it. And then over the top of that, it's got 3 or 4 layers of sheen. So the shiny bit over the top, which is a kind of a sealant that goes over the paint. So that's what you're actually removing. You're not really removing paint as it is. But you can get it detailed. You don't do it very regularly. You can buy a little sander. It looks like a sander disc. It's got a soft top to it, though. It's not for sanding the paint off. And you can do that whole thing over your paint. It just evens out the color and the scratches and all that sort of stuff out of your car. It's totally safe to do as long as you don't do it every week or every day, or you kind of do it that way. But yes, you can definitely do it. And a couple of good valeters in this country. Now check out the reviews they get. Ask around that everybody get a good deal out of it. Look at the cars that have been done. Don't just turn up because some guy gives you a leaf to the street going, get your valeting done here. Be very careful with valeting because they can do harm. Bob, if you're still using that new mic lately, then it's great and nice and loud. I am still using this mic. Yes, that yoke, which is called a Blue Snowball or something like that. It's a Blue Snowball, yes, which again was given to me by the support of this stream right here. So if you want to support the stream, there are links down below down there. Click on those and support this stream because it keeps me absolutely free and I don't have to answer any questions to car companies. Means I get, not that I get to slag off car, it means I have to say what I think is right. Caesar 2 says his neck is hurting. Why are your neck? What's wrong with your neck? What'd you do? Did you see Jeremy Clarkson is hosting a new series of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Starts next month. Definitely going to watch that. Entertaining with him hosting thoughts. Yeah, I saw it, but I mean I've seen the kind of idea of what's going on. He'd be pretty good at what he does. He's very good at what he does, as always. He's probably looking to kind of branch out and get away from cars a little bit. Maybe get a second career going because I suppose the Grand Tour isn't getting the views it would have once got as Top Gear. The big problem is Top Gear, the current format, isn't getting the views that Top Gear used to get either. So there's a bit of a problem between the two. I'd love to get my hands on even a 10th of the budget of Top Gear, and you turn out such a fabulous car show. But they're going to continue forcing Top Gear to work, and that's what they're going to try and do. Meanwhile, Chris Harris has turned the Top Gear YouTube channel into the Chris Harris channel, which I can find funny as well. Chris Harris used to get on Patreon. You know, Chris Harris used to get £8,000 or dollars a month. Do you know that? That's true. I remember looking into it one time before he got the Top Gear gig. It was a great amount of money. I'd love to get some of that on Patreon. But I'm looking forward to see Jeremy Clarkson back on some sort of televisual show, which is quite good because it's an awful pain in the hole trying to get the Amazon thing. Powell, I can't pronounce your last name. Bob, do you know that in one of the richest countries in Europe, the best-selling car is a Skoda Octavia? Strange. Yeah, that's because people get rich because they make very smart decisions. They don't get rich because they go out and buy a Rolls Royce. That's just a fact. You get rich because you work hard or you inherit, which is why these little channels where the young guy is out and he's driving, I'm going to buy a Ferrari. Why I didn't buy the Golf R? That's guys who've inherited money. Little daddy there has dropped money in their tip jar, and that's how to get that bit done. But people who actually get rich and make really clever decisions, they make financial decisions, and what they do is they go out and buy something smart, and the smart car is the one with the cheapest tax, the best fuel economy, and the most room. And there you go. Skoda Octavia, Skoda Superb, something like that is going to be a very clever car to buy rather than buying a Rolls Royce or something. Tom Crockett. Hi, Bob. Any ideas when digital drives display will be available on the Skoda Karoq? I don't actually know. I was wondering that myself. That was something that was on the launch, and we saw it on screens and things. I'm not sure when that's coming. I'm looking forward to seeing that because it was a lovely thing. I'd love to see somebody modify the dashboard. You know, where you can get these hackers to do things to dashboards and make them all light up and do funny things. I'm sure that's on the way. Someone's going to do that eventually because the T-Roc is at the door. Has these little screens that go zooming in and out and do all sorts of stuff. It's very, very cool. So hopefully that will happen in the future very soon. Henry Healy, what's your take on a new Polo GTI? I've been contemplating getting one maybe next year. 32,000 and a reasonable price for one. 32 grand's a lot of money for a Polo. I know, but that's just the Irish tax system. It's a pain in the hole. But it'll never change either. Polo GTI is... I remember the Lupo GTI, I remember the Polo GTI and the actual Golf GTI, which is the one that started. Well, that didn't start GTI. Actually, Peugeot started GTI. So fair play there, Peugeot. Yeah, Polo GTI would be great fun. It's a little bit cheaper than a Golf GTI, but it's actually going to be around the same size. I haven't driven it, so I don't know, but it's meant to be pretty good. People I trust say it's going to be good, so it should be a good thing to have a bit of a spin in. The price is not reasonable because we pay VRT in this country. It's a ridiculous thing, but there's nothing car companies can... Well, there is plenty car companies can do about VRT. They could get it cancelled without a shadow of a doubt. They could do something with the government, but... most of that, nearly 50% of that price is tax, Henry, unfortunately. Bob, a 2012 Insignia. There's a mild scraping sound when turning sharp left or right at low speeds. The car is just bought and the garage has been lying up for a while. Any suggestions? The very first thing I do is I know this sounds like a really stupid thing to do, but I would wash it, right? And I don't mean I'd wash the outside of the car. I mean when I would get a power hose in at the back of your front and left wheels, front, left and right wheels, right? Because underneath there, the suspension arms and bushes. So the shock absorber goes up like this and comes down on what's called a suspension arm or a steering arm. The steering arm goes up and down, and that steering arm has to do this as well because the wheel is attached. The wheel is on the end of it here and does this thing, right? It's complicated, but this thing acts like a shelf, and often things are sitting in that shelf, like bits of stones and stuff hanging around. And when you turn, it starts to vibrate and make noises against the wheel. The other alternative for the scraping sound is coming from the power steering system, right? So inside there's a pump, the power steering fluid gets pumped through the pump, and that pump goes round. And as it does, it starts to twist and turn, and a belt will move, or you get the kind of squeaking sound coming from inside. And what else could make something squeak from inside? The only other thing that can happen is you're getting warping in the discs and it's scraping up against the side of the braking system. Not really that many things can actually go wrong in there, but it's probably more wear and tear, a bit of rust somewhere, something that's moving around as you turn through the steering arm. If the sound is gone, it's in the wheel somewhere as the wheels are turning. Can you turn the wheel standing still? When you turn the wheel, do you hear any scraping? That's probably a handy way to find out because then you know what's inside the wheel. Eric Rochford, a 2015 Merc, great car, but noisy engine and refinement not on par with the new model would be number 3 for me. The older model, but new model would be top of those 3. Yeah, you would be far off. New model has double glazing. I think it might be optional, so be careful of that one. But yeah, the new one is a lot quieter to drive, and the engine has had a lot of work done to it. Tom Crockett. I feel like if I buy the Karoq without the digital driver display, it will feel dated in the cockpit really quickly. That's a good point. Yeah, it would. I don't know how much more money they'll put on it for the digital display. The digital display is on the T-Roc outside, so I'm surprised it isn't available on the Karoq already. But we'll see. It's probably what they have in stock at the moment. But yeah, if you want to hang on, I would hang on for the digital display. I quite like the digital display. It's gorgeous to look at, easy to use. You make the display do whatever you want it to do rather than the way it's meant to be looked from the solid display. John Tate, in the UK and looking for a car for work, fancy something different. So looking at a Volvo S90 or design D5 all-wheel drive. Too many 5 Series, Mercs and Audis on the road. Thoughts? You're absolutely spot on. S90 is a gorgeous car, and there are, particularly in the UK, I was in the UK two weeks ago for a little bit of work, and I'm going back there again in a few weeks' time. I'm hooking up with, Alex Goy, from, everyone knows Alex Goy, right? Alex Goy is off many channels out there. He's a really good presenter. We're hooking up to a show, do a video with him, and doing another video, a couple of other videos as well. So I've been in the UK a bit for the last couple of weeks. And you're right, the S90 doesn't get a fair shake of the road over there. Mercs, Audis, and 5 Series are everywhere, like they are in Ireland here as well. They're everywhere on the road, particularly in that range. So the Audi A6, the Mercedes E-Class, and the 5 Series, those are the most sold ones because they're company vehicles over there. Volvo S90 is a gorgeous car. You're going to buy the estate one, go for it. That's the one I'd go for as well. All-wheel drive, D5 or design, perfect. Marcus, hi Bob. Apologies about the flat earth comment recently. After extensive research, I've confirmed that you are not an agent of evil, pretend to be globalist. Thought I wasn't. I'm usually such a nice guy. Also, in case people haven't noticed, I am talking total BS. Bob, did you enjoy the latest series of Top Gear? Personally loved it, and I thought it really found their stride, although I'm biased. Chris Harris fanboy who loved them since I was 10. Well, how old are you? Jesus, Chris Harris, how old is he? I never really got into it, I have to say. Some of the segments were pretty good, but it's hard to explain. It's just not gelling. I think the problem is you've got an American comedian who's very, very good at comic timing. And then you got 2 English guys who are not comedians and are trying to be comedians. Whereas the older Top Gear, you had 3 lads who were motoring journalists who together could be funny. So it's when you've got 3 people who are trying to emulate 3 other people and it's not working, it's always going to cause a problem. They need someone, and I hate nominating myself, but they need someone from the outside to come in and have a look at it and go, this is what's going wrong from a fanboy perspective. If you want to garner the old audience, this is how to do it. So, yeah, they were getting to grips with the thing, but it's still not working. Okay, so I don't know what I raise money for charity. Is something wrong with you? Whatever your name is, sort it out, pal. Why can't I do that? Oh, here we go. Yeah, put user in timeout. Now, you've been timed out. Bye. Cabwab. Hi, Bob. I'm thinking of a Mitsubishi Outlander FEV. Oh, I'm not supposed to say FEV anymore. I was told. We got guidelines to not say FEV because it's confusing people. It's PHEV. Plug-in hybrid electric vehicle is what PHEV means. But it's still FEV in my mind. I'm sorry. I think I may have christened that FEV actually originally. Anyway. Hi, Bob. I'm thinking of Mitsubishi Outlander FEV as a replacement for a 2013 Audi A4 Avant 2-litre diesel for a 50-mile each-way commute. Am I mad? 50 miles, you could replace that with an entirely electric car. 50 miles is not really that much. Like a Generation 1 Nissan Leaf would do that journey. But if you're into the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, I actually quite like that car. I thought it was a pretty good car to drive. My issue would be, where's Mitsubishi Europe going to be in 8 or 10 years or something? Or where's that car going to be? It's very complicated, a little bit expensive as well. You are replacing Audi A4, so you are getting a much bigger car in the Outlander FEV. But I still have to question what you're going to do with the car for 50 miles. You could easily replace that. You could hold on to your Avant 2-litre diesel for the weekend and have a bit of fun and have an electric car, totally separate from 50-mile commute, especially if you've got a charging yoke anywhere near the other end of it. I see Renault Ireland calls the Megane sedan the Grand Coupe. It's available in the whole of Europe. It's Greece, not imported. However, it's called a Megane sedan in Bulgaria. We don't use the word sedan here. We use saloon for the most of the things. Grand Coupe is another version as well. So they all got a different name for it. But saloon has always been very popular in Ireland. Saloon cars, whereas ourselves in China, we're probably the biggest consumer of saloon cars in the world. England would be the biggest consumer of convertible cars, and always have been for years and years and years, because a convertible in Spain, Spanish people, go down to Spain and hire a convertible. I promise you, within 15 minutes, you're burnt all around here. It doesn't work in the sun. Do a review of the Hyundai i30, Bob. Is there a new one or something? I saw you in the Kona doing a review a few months ago. Correct, I was in the Kona, right? I can only do the reviews of the cars that the Hyundai have put on. So other than that, I have to go to a Hyundai dealer and try and find an i30 and convince them to let me review it without breaking it. So that, they all know who I am these days. I can't sneak into dealers anymore. Every dealer in the country knows who I am at this stage. Thanks for taking a stab at supercar channels earlier about the daddy's tip jar. Despise the bloody things. He just probably don't even know what an internal combustion engine is. Most of those guys kind of do, but they're born into fast cars and they think that's the way. And that's what young kids, 13, 14-year-olds, click on. And then car companies go, wow, look at all the views he gets, without realizing that most of that's coming from YouTube Kids or coming from children who are logging on and looking at this guy driving around the cars, thinking that that's the best thing they can do and they should be buying a car like that. Whereas my channel and channels like mine tend to get review channels like Car Wow or or any of these kind of guys. They tend to get real reviews, so real people would come along and actually buy a car based on what they see in the channel. So most of those other cars just bought or rented. A lot of these guys rent their cars, rent a house, and pretend that they're you can rent out performance cars all the time. Derek Mead says, Bob, have you seen the new Peugeot 508 yet? Your thoughts? Great looking car, brilliant looking car. I have to say, Peugeot knock it out of the park every single time. I hope the last 508 they had was a beautiful looking car, drove incredibly well, had catastrophic problems with things, places to put things in the cabin. It's terrible. Just the cup holders, it's just terrible interior design wise. The materials used are beautiful. The car itself is gorgeous to drive. I am going to the international launch of the Peugeot 508, so I will be down in Monaco sometime later. Is it next month? I can't remember. It's in a few months' time. So I'm going on to Monaco to launch that. So any requests for what you want to see in a video of Monaco? You want to see Casino Square or somewhere? I've been there a few times at this stage. It's just a really expensive hellhole, what Monaco is. Sorry, Monaco. If you're from Monaco, I'm terrible sorry, but it is just basically a really expensive hellhole. Fun. Make sure you click the like button, and when you're there, go over to Instagram and follow me on Instagram as well. Sorry, I'm just flicking in and out here. I'm going into something else, but go over to Instagram and follow me on Instagram as well. That's always a good place to keep up to date of exactly what I'm doing sort of live throughout the week as I pick up cars. Plus, Instagram next week is going to get really interesting when I go to the Dublin Tech Summit, which is on. I have a media pass there for the 2 days. So I'll be live storying from there, show you what it's like behind the scenes. And if you're at the Dublin Tech Summit next week, make sure you drop in, say hello. I don't have a stand around, just tweet me. I'll be around a place somewhere. I've loads of interviews lined up. I am in love with Swiss people. They rejected €2,500 benefit for nothing, and they are buying Octavias, having one of the highest incomes in the world. Very clever people, simply clever. I don't know if that's clever or not clever. It's, it's market forces and what's affordable and what's not affordable. Swiss don't particularly like driving, and they have a lot of rules when it comes to driving stuff. So there is the end of that part as well. You got to look out for that part. Jimmy, are we going to get a few podcast updates soon? One went out yesterday, and I'm editing more of them because, see, I have to download the whole thing. It's a gigantic file that I download, strip the audio off it, put it into an audio editor, put on a top onto it, put on a tail onto it, render it back out again, then upload it back up the channel. It's like an hour and a half work to do each one of them. So, so there's a new podcast going out yesterday. The podcast sessions, the Sunday service sessions, is another bit that's coming for this channel as well. That's going to be me talking to someone from the industry or talking to someone who knows about cars, and it's for audio only, and it's going to be on the podcast only. It won't be here on the YouTube channel. I'm not going to video it. It's just I want it to be audio because a lot of people get really panicked, really panicked when you point a video camera at them. So they shut down immediately. They don't know whether to talk or not. But when you put a mic in front of them, often they kind of calm down and they'll say what's on their mind. So that's been arranged. I'm arranging 5 or 6 interviews to do, not interviews, just chats with people along the way. So that's coming. And so, yes, if you can go over to iTunes, you can actually get my podcast pretty much everywhere. Spotify were in touch. They want it as well. Although Spotify podcast is in its infancy. That's coming. It is coming, but it's not here yet. So that is on the way. Someone just put in money into the tip jar for Super Chat, which is very kind. I can't see who it is yet. It's not popping up on my screen, but I do see the money there. You're very good. £10. It's very generous of you. You're very kind. Where were we? Column F. Hi, Bob. Did you see the article in the papers during the last week about the government reviewing possibilities of charging road tax on kilometres driven annually? That will be horse manure, Column. They will never do that. They won't do it. I promise you. I promise you. That is just a kite flying exercise, or somebody decided to write the article for the fun of it. They won't do that. The amount of money road tax brings into this country, and it's right now, they can say that now I'm going to pick a number out of my arse, right? But €1 billion comes in road tax per year. I don't know how much it actually is, but say it's €1 billion, right? If you charge it per kilometre, you have no idea how much is going to come in next year. Don't know. They can't depend on it, which means the government won't go that route because they're terrified of that happening, that they don't know exactly how much they're going to make from next year. I suggest that they put it onto fuel, that 2 cents per litre on every litre of fuel sold in the country is a far fairer way to charge road tax because, or motor tax, because it means that Biddy and Michael, who own a little Toyota Yaris and live in the edge of Portlaoise and drive to Dunstores and back once a week, doing 2 or 3 kilometres, pay minimum tax. But Paddy, whatever his name is a sales rep on the road, and he drives 50,000 kilometres a year. He pays the maximum amount. So in that respect, that is the fairest option. But you're in exactly the same situation in that no one knows how much that's going to generate for the exchequer every year. And so they won't take it away from knowing. It's the knowing of how much they're going to get every single year that they want to do. So I don't think that'll happen. I'd say it's just a kite flying thing. Funny Ferrari, I'm starting up a car YouTube channel. Good, that's a good start. Yeah, going to start off doing walk around tours instead of reviews because I don't have much equipment. No drone. Based in Kildare, going to give it a go, see how it goes. Sure, why not? Join us. It's a lot harder than you think it is, but it's good though. It's very good. It's great when you get going. You get into the rhythm of things. You find your own voice. You find your own way of doing things. Experience is everything. Honestly, you can't train for this. You have to experience. You have to go through. You have to hit the roadblock and go, well, how do I get by that? What do I do next? How do I go further? How do I get better at it? Do the walk around thing. I still think human interaction sells the product. I think looking at a car and walking around a car doesn't get as many views as actually having a face in front of the camera. So that could be something to think about. Don't do this unless you want to be famous. Don't do it for money. That's for sure. Don't do it for money. There ain't much money in it. David O'Brien tested Ioniq and Leaf SVE top spec yesterday. Love the Leaf, but the 34,000 delivered with metallic paint seems a huge figure. And I had a report from a fella in Mayo who said to me that he was looking at the price. He said he was going to be charged 33,600, and when he went to the dealership, it was 34,500 or something. And I said, "Is that delivery and related charge?" And he goes, "No, that was all included, but they just changed the price." So I know something kind of funny with the price of it there. It is a lot of money for SVE. Ioniq is a little bit better value, but the Leaf has a little bit longer range and more tech in it. It's hard. It's a balancing act. If I was using my own money, I would probably buy the Ioniq because it's a 5-year warranty and it's unlimited mileage and still the same as it always was with Hyundai. And you do get a fair bit of kit in it as well for the money. Where are we now? Cabwab says, "Thanks, have a 3-litre petrol for my weekend car already, but it's BMW 3 Series manual, so you hate it already." No, I don't really mind the 3 Series manual, but I don't think BMW's gearboxes, the manual gearboxes, are much cop. I don't think they're anywhere near what the other car companies do, and yet I hate all their gearboxes. When they get to the luxury brand cars, I think all their gearboxes are fairly crap. John Tate giving £10 on a super chat. John Tate, you're a very generous man. You too can support this channel if you wish. There are links down below. PayPal, Patreon are down below. There's also a Bitcoin thing if you've got that. Some of that. I'm sure you loads of that hanging around these days. Everyone else seems to have it. All of this happens because of your support, but also the support I get from Clearwater.ie, which is Clearwater guys down in Carrick-on-Shannon. Clearwater Technologies down in Carrick-on-Shannon are really generous guys, really brilliant. John is the fellow there I've talked to many times, a massive car nut and a massive watch fan, so really into the channel, and it's his support mixed with your support that means the Audi A8 video we just did looks such high quality, and the camera work and the things we've done, it frees up more time for me to be able to do stuff. So any support you can give, it doesn't matter if it's €1 up to whatever the other end of the figure happens to be, whatever way you can give it, PayPal, Patreon, or Super Chat right here, if you want to do it that way, is all hugely appreciated. I'll just check my emails, make sure there's nothing else after coming in there that I need to know about, because some of you guys just end up doing what you do, and then the stream is over, to go, "Oh, somebody give money to PayPal." But I mentioned Andy Friel already this morning, so we're all right there. We're doing well. Yep, keep moving. It's going to be worse, Dave. The Leaf is getting the price hike in many European markets due to demand exceeding supply. Yep, they've run out of Leafs already. And I saw that while I was on the national launch, but here we had one each. It had loads of cars, but they were all spoken for. Every single one of them are spoken for. So they're all sold as well. And the dealers all have one here in this country as well in their premises. So don't expect the demand to drop out anytime soon. At least in Greece, we get a display instrument on a second version style. It basically is called Ambition. I think it's Ambition here as well, Karoq as well. Bob, when you review the 508 at launch, please pay attention to the steering, both in terms of how it feels and how too much in terms of being fast for a saloon car, but also ergonomics. It's small. Is the 508 got a small steering wheel these days? Oh, no, I don't think it has a small steering wheel. I thought I had the big steering wheel. Anyway, the new Honda Accord, among others, has huge openings in the bottom grille. I see these cars at 6 months with a lot of radiator fin damage. Why is the huge openings? Don't know. Bottom grille. They must know what they're doing. Honda tend to over-engineer a lot of the stuff, so they must really, really know what they're going to do with that. So I wouldn't be worried about what Honda's Honda. I wouldn't be worried about what they're doing. They're really pretty handy at that. But usually about air is everything when it comes to the amount of compression you get inside the car. The air fuel mixture has an effect on fuel economy, also has an effect on horsepower and performance. So air intake is just about the most important thing you can have done to your car. Steve Rice says MPG bought a 2-year-old Peugeot 308 SW, good car. 1.2, 140 brake horsepower. Done 2,500 miles, getting low 40s. I was told it would do high 40s, mainly on rural roads. Any thoughts? Would you expect more? Very incredibly dependent on how you drive it. Even when you're an angel, cars often don't do what they're supposed to be doing. Also tuning, air intake, servicing, the type of oil that you're using, the kind of fuel you've got, the amount of acceleration, the more cruising. It all has this massive effect, which is why we're changing from one type of how we measure fuel economy to the other type of how we measure fuel economy. I can't remember what they're called now, but there's names for it. And that's coming as well this year. So fuel economy figures are going to change this year. It's going to be quite a different rationale behind what we quote as fuel economy figures. And it's going to get worse, actually. Fuel economy is going to get worse this year than last year. But really, it's just over time you have to kind of work out what way it works out, Steve. The Outlander PHEV electric range wouldn't manage your commute on full electric power. If you were doing a 160-kilometer commute, you'd probably just about do it in one way in all weathers. But it's definitely a good option if you want to work, if you have work charging or you want something electric that can tow. They actually tow rate electric power alone too. Yeah, Mitsubishi. I should have mentioned that. Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV is one of the few electric cars that has a tow rating. All electric cars don't make a whole lot of they don't do towing, and they can't be towed either, which is the other part of that. Funny Ferrari, Bob, do you make much money from YouTube ads? Nah, not really. The majority of people on YouTube have an ad blocker. And then you have people like, oh, I shall remain nameless at the moment, but there's a certain number of people out there who put their videos out on YouTube, can't get enough hits, so they pay for that video to become an ad on YouTube, right? And so you come to my channel and you'll see an ad for another. Well, it's not an ad, but it comes up as a video. It is like a 15-minute video, but they've put it out as an ad. They are the reason most people don't watch videos on YouTube or watch ads on YouTube. They're the reason for installing ad blockers. And it's because of ad blockers and because YouTube only have so many ads to go around that makes YouTube environment quite hard to deal with for people, that they can't survive their way through either not being monetized, or even when they're monetized, it becomes cents. It becomes this cents thing. Now, I have 500 and something videos up, right? So over all of those videos, there's an amount of money that can come in from all of those videos, right? Because they still get views, even though they're 4 years, 5 years, 6 years old. When you're starting out and you got 8 or 10 videos, right? And there's zero comes in from those because 100 people have watched them each. Whereas I get thousands of views. So really, it's impossible. It's like this malleable system as to how much money you actually make from YouTube. It's not much, definitely not much. You'd be very lucky to make a wage out of YouTube, even when you get quite high return on figures. But the biggest problem is ad blockers is the biggest problem. People taking advantage of how ads work, and they put out an ad that's 15 or 20 minutes long. It's actually a video. There's a number of car channels do this. They appear on my channel. People complain and as if I have some control over it. I don't. Some people put up, I never put up, the ads I ever put up are never the unskippable ones. I always deselect that. So you can always skip the ads after 5 seconds. But you make less money when you click the skip. You make more money when you watch and interact and so on. So it's this scaling up. So some videos can make 20 quid from one ad. Other videos can only make a 2 cent from one ad. So it's this horrible thing. You never know how much you're going to get paid from YouTube. But fortunately, I have great support from you guys on YouTube using PayPal and Patreon and Super Chat and all these kind of ways. And then sponsorship is going to be outside. But that only happens when you start to get big enough to get that sponsorship behind you. You need to have an honest voice. I think a lot of the car YouTube channels out there are liars, or they just make it up, or they just read from a script, or they just read from a press release, make it worse, no opinion attached. It's awful, awful way to be. And they're scared of losing access to the cars, which is the most important part for them. Free cars, free car brigade, free, like a lot of reviews, the text reviews are the same. Free cars and free trips and things is what they actually want. That's the only reason they're here, not to give you the best choice or to give you the best opinion on something. Anyway, rant over / end rant. Bob, the T2 has been doing surveys for satellite and road pricing as a replacement for the fuel duty when everything goes electric. It'll come up with the EV task force meeting, and that's not going to end either. Annual aggregate mileage across the national fleet is fairly predictable. Yeah, I know there's going to be a huge shift in the next while into electric. Everyone's going to go that direction. It's going to absolutely murder how things are working when it comes to tax, VRT, VAT, all this stuff. I think to be protests in the street. I really do think that what the decisions the government are making and EV task forces are making are short-term decisions. They're not considering the future, the real future, the 10-year future, 20-year future from now. They're not considering that. They're doing it again. Same sort of codology we did in 2008. We're looking at the fleet we got now. We go, how do we get everybody into this? And they go, CO2. And everybody jumped into diesel, low CO2. The government lost a fortune. Now they're doing it again. How do we get people into electric? Everybody goes into electric and they're going to lose a fortune. And then they're going to put a sticker over this, a Band-Aid over the top of that and try and fix it by giving a flat tax or by trying to figure out how they're going to do per kilometer or whatever. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. The short term, nobody's looking at the long term. Nobody's asking for journalists to come in and give their opinion on what they think should happen and how to think. Because we're impartial. I don't care if you never bought a car. Never. I don't care if you buy electric or you buy diesel. As long as you buy something you're happy with. If I recommend a car, I recommend it from the heart, from how I think you should spend your money. But I have no loyalty whatsoever to car companies, and I have no loyalty to anyone other than consumer or my own opinion. That's the only people that matter. So they should be asking journalists how that works. Where was I? You're all answering each other's questions, which is deadly. That's what the community is all about. We're all answering each other's questions now. We're all giving opinions on all sorts of things. It's brilliant. Hi, Bob. Mom is thinking of changing her 2012 petrol VW Polo for a new car. She'll be keeping it for a while, so it needs something in good quality and reliability, similar type of car, average mileage. What 2012 VW Polo? Would you not consider going straight into another VW Polo? The new one is actually very good. It feels like a bigger car, better fuel economy, same sort of engines that are in as well, very familiar for your mother to change into. The other alternative would be something from the Skoda group. I wouldn't go from a Polo to something Peugeot because you're going to that small steering wheel. It's quite a difference, quite a big difference between the two cars. Some of the new Nissan Micra is quite nice. There's a good car. I quite like the new Nissan Micra. That's a good little car. Try that one. David O'Brien looked up the price hike on the Leaf in Spain and Portugal. List price of XE and SV Leaf specs went up by 1,450 between March and April. Smaller increase on higher specs. Cross 13, I have a funny feeling you work somewhere within the industry quite heavily, but I'm not sure where. Footy Ferrari, I love this on the service. Daddy, just a small tip. Give €2 on the super chat. You too can support this channel. You can do it through Super Chat. You can do it through PayPal. You can do it through Patreon. You can do it through any. There's links down below there. Click down below and you'll see all of the links to everything. And a huge big shout out, of course, to our very important person who keeps this channel on its feet and running forwards at all times, which is Clearwater Technologies down in Carrick-on-Shannon. Definitely give them a click. There's a link for them down below as well. More of an industrial thing, but they supply all kinds of water cleaning systems, and they're just massive into cars, and I love it. So it's really handy, really good. Bob, can you let me have an email address, please? Of course I can. bobflav@thenextgear.com. That's bobflav, BOBFLAV @thenextgear.com. Everybody has that email address in the world. I get millions of emails, but yes, email away all you want. Andrew O'Gorman has been incredibly generous on PayPal. Thank you very much, Andrew O'Gorman. You're very good. That just popped up my phone. I don't get messages on PayPal from my thing on here, so it comes on there. But you're very good. Thank you very much. I don't know which one you are on this list, but thank you very much. So you too, like I said, can do PayPal down below. Craig Pointing. Your thoughts on the VW Group 1.4 TSI in an Octavia, please, as details too problematic with DPF and DMF. Thanks. Diesel DPF isn't as problematic as it used to be when it first came out. It was a massive problem. They've done massive research on DPFs and DMFs. But having said that, you probably want to stay away from diesel at the moment. Most people do. 1.4 TSI, thumbs up, 100%. One of my favorite engines Volkswagen put out. The current engine that I'm driving in the T-Roc is a 1.5 TSI, which I think is 150 horsepower. I think. I might be wrong on that. It's very good. I do find it a little bit jerky at lower speeds. It's like the turbo cuts in a little bit too early on it. And it kind of jerks it forwards a bit. You get used to it, but it's a little bit of a pain in the ass in first gear, particularly. But I have no problem. One of my all-time favorite engines, the cylinder shutdown system, works a treat. Fuel economy is pretty good. T-Roc gave me 600, 700 kilometers from one tank of fuel. Does an average about 6.87 liters, which is okay for petrol. No problem, recommended engine. It's 100% Craig Pointing. Damien says, thanks, no problem. Dave Hammond, hi Bob, love the Audi A8 review. Went from 0 to want one in 2 seconds. Looks awesome. I did too. Took me a day and a half, but the A8 was one of those cars that became my car. And I that's very unusual for me. Normally I drive a car, like by Sunday, that T-Roc is empty, right? There's nothing in it now. Everything's taken out. A lot of rubbish has gone out of it. The carpets are kind of cleaned down. The exterior is still dirty, but it's a manky day here today. The boot's empty. Everything's ready to go for the car to be dropped back tomorrow first thing. The A8, I was clearing it out the next morning. There was so much stuff we had in it. I just love that car. One of the few cars this year, apart from RS3, that I went for just went for a drive-in. Didn't bring a camera or the drone or nothing. Just went for a drive-in. A beautiful car. Loved the thing. It would be like Euro Millions, or you win a lottery money. I need lottery money to buy that kind of car. Two cars right now will be Audi RS3 and Audi A8. I have the RS4 and the A6 and A7 to go this year as well. So I don't know what Audi's doing, but there's something. Audi's starting to build cars with me in mind, which is pretty good. Nope, I am the i3 driver in Portlaoise. 2,500 kilometers, 250,000 kilometers of EG driving on my belt. If you ever need a local EV expert, I've seen your i3 around. Yeah, that's a nice little car. It looks good, actually. Little white one. Looks really good. But I have seen you around, yes. It just sounds like someone who knows what you're talking about. Anyway, that's what I think EV drivers tend to do, though, is they get very into, like I did too, you get very into the kind of graphs and charts and things, how many kilometers you've done, how many more kilometers you do. I kind of like it. It's kind of cool. Have you seen the front badges of the new Nissans have like a plastic window with a picture of a badge inside it? No. Well, I haven't been paying. Oh, yeah, another one you're talking about. Yes, I have. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, that's all right. No, with that. I can live with that. It's fine. The state of G in the UK roads is terrible. Sorry, I'm reading a long one here at the moment. Got holes like a Grand Canyon and the A roads. What are the roads like in Ireland? Shit, to be honest with you. Especially after the storms, the snow and the stuff really tore the hole out of some of the roads in the country. I tell you what, the big difference is, I was up the north of Ireland recently, right? And there was a time where you went from the south of Ireland over the border to the north of Ireland, and you could tell that the roads got significantly better in the north of Ireland. And you're driving along and you go, wow, I'm in the north now. This is really nice. It's all 30 miles per hour and all 50 miles per hour and 60 miles per hour. And the roads were always really good. But I was up there recently and the roads were crap. Whatever happened to Northern Ireland roads, I don't know. Compared to Southern Ireland roads, where the road is really good. The only investment that Northern Ireland seems to have had in roads is over near Belfast side. On the opposite side of Northern Ireland, it's rubbish. The roads are terrible. But we have had a good road fund in Ireland for years, but still, it's all on the main roads, all on the motorways. It's all out there. The huge amount of money gets invested out that part of the world, whereas we need some secondary roads here where there's like an 80 kilometer an hour limit, and you find straight away 80 kilometer an hour, and there's grass down the middle of the road. I don't know who came up with the speed limit, and it's absolutely rubbish. So that happens as well. So we're about the same. In fairness, I've driven in both UK and Ireland. We wouldn't be far off the same sort of quality of roads these days. I don't think England has had, or well, the United Kingdom has had the investment in the roads that we've done over here. So we've kind of caught up on you, and in some ways overtaken United Kingdom in the quality of our road system. The further west you go in Ireland, the worse roads tend to become. Thanks for the reply, Bob, says Craig on the TSI, wondering if a remap would sort of jerk you a bit in first. Thanks again. I reckon it will probably come that way, Craig. You'll probably find in a very near future Volkswagen will put out a software update or possibly a remap system. It seems to me that all of the turbo is cutting in very early in first, which gives that kind of jerk forward all of a sudden, and then you change to the second, you get that sort of a jerk feeling. And then once you get into third, fourth, fifth, sixth, it's fine. It's pure butter smooth stuff from there on out. It just seems to be in the lower speed band in the manual version. The DSG version is gorgeous in that same engine, but I do like the 1.4 TSI. First time I ever drove that was on Spanish roads on an Audi launch, and they just launched this cylinder shutdown system, and it was absolutely amazing at the time because it made a different sound, and the whole engine was, you could feel it happen. these days, you'd look at the display in the middle to tell you run on 2 cylinders, not 4. The fuel economy is still very, very good on it as well. Can you all click the like button? Anyone who's left who hasn't clicked the like button, please. There's still like loads more yous here. That's not an ad, by the way. Under Armour has not paid to be here. It's just that's my water bottle from running. I put that in the boot of the car because it's indestructible. It's metal. I quite like these ones. I'm trying to go. We're trying to do something in the house here. The Flavin household is doing something, which is to not buy single-use plastics. So we don't buy little bottles of water. We don't buy little ones. We buy big ones, 5-liter drum ones, but only recyclable ones wherever possible. And we try and use. Of course, Ireland is lucky. We have tap water we can drink here within reason. We clean it, but we try not to use any single-use plastics. So that's a big bugbear of ours. Part of the Plastic Pollution Committee, and I'm trying to get everything done in Ireland about recycling, about trying to figure out what we're going to do with all the plastic. Because right now, if you look out the front of your house, the chances are you'd see a rubbish dump not far from you. Or if you drive out on the roads and you suddenly just pull up in the forest and think, I'll go for a walk here, the first thing you meet is bags of rubbish on the side of the road. We have to do something with our rubbish here. So we've started it ourselves. We start with mean to go on, so we don't use single-use plastics. Wherever possible, within reasonable. It's nearly impossible not to do that, but we try to get as many of them as we possibly can to get rid of them. So in that respect, water bottles. This is a metal water bottle, and I bring this pretty much everywhere. I think it's a half-liter. And I think Under Armour actually sent this to me. So I will give Under Armour a shout-out that they may have sent. I don't know if they sent that to me or ASIC sent that to me or some running company sent me that. I don't know who it was, but it was very good of them to send it. But I've used it ever since. I use it all the time. Actually, Under Armour symbol is scratching off if I use it that much. Funny Ferrari, I watched your old Mondeo review recently. It was a good bit. I was good, but really showed how much you've come on in recent years, drone and whatnot. Yeah, I know. I actually went back to one of my first videos recently. What was that? The first video I think I ever did was a Nissan Leaf launch here in Ireland. I was just invited by Nissan. And it was a public launch. It was on Grand Canal Dock or something. And I went to that. And that was the first thing I ever went to. And I think it was the first video I ever made. And then you did some Renault videos. It was very early with Renault and Fiat and things. So that was one of the first videos. And I looked like a child for a start. And plus, I was finding a voice. It's very hard to find your own voice and do your own thing. So you get there in the end, though. You just got to experiment around a little bit. Hey, Bob, nice haircut. Thanks very much. See, somebody notices I got a haircut. Very streamlined. Yeah, it is. I'm starting to go a little bit grey, though. Look, actually, I'm grey as hell, but, you know, I'm starting to go a bit grey around the edges there. It's all right. Only popping in for a minute. We'll be catching the broadcast at a later date. What's your view on remaps? Is it money-making racket or is it a useless service? Also, have you any interest in motorcycles? Okay, so we do the first one with remaps. So what's a remap? So, when a car company makes an engine, take a Volkswagen engine, right? 150 horsepower is what they sell it as. What they've tested it as is a 200 horsepower, 300 horsepower. They go to destruction. That's how they test an engine to see how far it can be pushed before it blows up, right? And about how much pressure the engine has to be put under. And then they turn it down to suit different markets. So Saudi Arabia is very warm, very hot, not much humidity. It's very dry. And so there's a certain kind of horsepower has to be put out there. Ireland is very humid. It's very cold at times. It can be very warm, but the median temperature is like 10 degrees. So it's never really gets that cold here. And so that the pressure set differently there. And in that respect, it means that there is tolerances between like a car that they say is 150 horsepower, when they actually test it, might be 155, might be 145. There's a tolerance level between the two. A remap puts the engine horsepower wherever you wanted it to be, up to its maximum level. Now, that can be dangerous, or it can also be pretty good. Sometimes it gives you more horsepower, but less fuel economy. Sometimes you can turn it down to get better fuel economy. You can play around. Once you change Once you change the horsepower output or remap the engine, you negate the warranty. You're pretty much in really weird territory there about getting your warranty done, okay? But as a service, if you want more horsepower, there's nothing wrong with it. Just make sure you're going. I always say this to people, go on the recommendations of your friends, your family, your internet buddies, whatever it may be, people you trust. Ask them if they got it done. Would they help? Don't go because some guy up the road will charge you tenner to do it and he's got the remap thing. Oh, I downloaded all the software. Yeah. And then your pistons come out through your bonnet someday when you're driving on the road. That's the end of that. Second part of that, Pat O'Reilly, is do I have the answers? Motorbikes. I like them. I don't ride them, and I don't really do reviews. Few guys do reviews in Ireland of motorbikes. Well, I don't have reviews now. I don't really interested. So, but I know Dave Humphreys does. He's a mate. Michael Sheridan does from RTE, or used to be an RTE years ago. He does them as well. Tony Toner does some motorbike stuff as well. There's a few motorbike guys in the country. I leave it up to them. I don't. I was going to do a series one time on how to get a motorbike license. It just seemed very complicated. And plus, everybody gets scared. Like me, I drive a car really fast. So getting a motorbike's like, nah. Colin Malone says, fair play, mentioned plastic and waste management. It is a very dear thing to my heart. Plastic waste in general. How waste comes and goes, how we use it in the country. We as humans and as Irish people seem to believe that tomorrow doesn't exist, that next year everything will be okay, that in 10 years' time won't be a problem, we won't be swimming in waste. Of course we will. If we continue to let Aldi wrap a plastic bag around 2 avocados and put a plastic tray into that plastic bag around 2 avocados, creating all of this waste for 2 avocados that could be sold individually without any plastic on them at all. They come in a bloody bag already. They come in a skin. It's like selling a bag of oranges. Why? Why aren't they in plastic? Why can't I pick up 10 oranges and put them into a paper bag, weigh it, and that's what I pay? It just makes sense. Anyway, sorry, back onto the topic at hand. Damien O'Dowd, thank you very much. Damien O'Dowd has given some money to Super Chat. He's put it into the Super Chat fund, which is always good. That's really good. They're very kind of you, Damien. Thank you very much. Did you have a message with that? Keep up the good work. There you go. There's a message with that. You're very good. Thank you. Niall McHugh, recycle plastic. Check out a Dutch guy called Dave Hackens. He runs a program called Precious Plastic, open source, or a use of plastic. Really good. Okay, I'll check that out. I'll definitely will. Dave Hackens, thank you very much. I'm really into, I love that. Car companies are very responsible for this as well, but the car companies are 10 years ahead of most of the other plastic manufacturers, particularly Tesco, Dunn's, Lidl, Aldi. Lidl has recently committed to doing a whole aisle of non-plastic things, so loose items like vegetables and fruit and stuff. But I don't see Aldi doing the same thing. Aldi are not, I use Aldi here in Portlaoise. We shop quite a bit in there. And I see a lot of stuff that I can't buy anymore because I just won't buy things that have dual plastics on them, particularly single use. I'm okay if it's like cardboard or card underneath. These things can all be composted and used again or recycled in some or another. But these single use little thin bits of plastic, hard plastic is the only plastic that can be really recycled properly, right? And I'm talking about hard plastic. Oh, sure, hard plastic. Okay. Here's a sunglasses holder, right? That's hard plastic on the outside here. That's probably recyclable, although it's painted, so it might not be recyclable. But there's secondary plastic in here as well, and then there's cardboard on the inside. So it's multi-use stuff, right? But we tend to buy things like this. Bamboo. We got this in IKEA. It's a Sigfin. That's not sponsored, by the way, but it's a little iPad holder thing. It comes like this, but it's made of bamboo. So that's totally recyclable, growable again, friendly to the environment, the whole show. So something we have to stop using so many plastics to do stuff. Wilfred Scott just picked up a 1 litre TSI Skoda, really good engine actually, Karoq today. Surprised how good the engine seems considering the size of the vehicle. Heard VAG are running out of 1.5 TSI engines on certain models. Yeah, they're under pressure to kind of bring that down. The 1 litre TSI is a lovely yoke. I've driven it in the Skoda Octavia. I am picking up your car tomorrow, Wilfred Scott, actually. I have a Skoda Karoq 1 litre TSI myself for next week, along with Fast Lexus, the hybrid one. That's on the way next week as well. So good engine. They are supposedly running out. I don't know about running out, but they're they're under a lot of pressure at the moment. Hugh Delaney, remember the time you brought the wrong car keys back from Washington? I do, Hugh. And Hugh, you know what? You were there for me with that then, boy. Brilliant story. For Hugh is just reminding me of, we went to the USA. I was over with BMW originally. They were testing cars on the Circuit of the Americas, and Skoda called me and said that there was the only Skoda Octavia in the USA was in Washington, and would I come up and test it while I was in the USA? And I flew to Dallas, and then I flew up to Washington. I met Hugh, who was there, and we started driving around this Octavia. It was all going well, but I had a Skoda in Ireland, so my Irish car in the airport was a Skoda. So in my pocket, I had 2 sets of Skoda keys. And they got confused. And I flew home from Washington. I parked the car outside the hotel in Washington, D.C. I flew home to Heathrow. It was an overnight flight. I got out in Heathrow at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was walking through the customs, and I put my hand in my pocket to take the keys out for the next securities to get on the Irish flight. And I looked at the keys, and I realized the keys I had in my pocket in Heathrow were belonging to the car that was now in Washington, parked outside the door. So I flew home to Ireland. I rang everybody. Everybody was asleep, of course. I flew home to Ireland, got out at the airport, handed the keys over to someone of the lads from automotive, and the keys made their way back to Washington eventually. But it was a long flight, and we all wondered why the car wouldn't start for Hugh. Hugh got into the car, was pressed the button to get the car started, and it wouldn't start because I had the keys in my pocket. Anyway, just a matter of confusion. It was a funny time. That was really good crack. I miss America. Let's go back to America. America was lovely. Washington they were lovely people. Good video on my channel. Look, check out the Skoda Octavia in America, Washington, D.C. Hugh was there with me at that stage laughing. Hugh's been traveling all over the world ever since, seemingly. I keep up with his Instagram. Colin McGlone, if you had 40 grand tomorrow to buy a new car, would you go EV or Dino Juice? I would go EV, Colin, without a shadow of a doubt. I think they're at a point now where they become very useful, and I don't think they're going to lose much more money. And I don't think the range is going to do anything too dramatic over the next few years. It will go up without a shadow of a doubt. But I think the cost of getting to that level is going to be quite prohibitive. At the moment, you look at 40 grand is going to get you a Nissan Leaf, 37, 32, 36, somewhere in that region on the road, very well spec'd. It's good version of car. And it would suit my family perfectly. It might not suit your family perfectly, but certainly suit mine. Hybrid would be the other way to go as well. You're still looking at the same kind of money. Toyota Prius or something in that hybrid range where you can get there. But I definitely at the moment for my choice, my family, for the future, I would definitely go electric at the moment. Yes. Why are Japanese cars falsely promoted as more reliable or just good generally? Is it because of the USA where they are cheaper and better than American cars because they are poor compared to Europeans? There you go. You just answered your own question. That's why. Japanese cars don't tend to be more reliable than European cars. But at an age, when they get to the 10-year-old mark, Japanese cars tend to keep going. Where European cars start to burn oil and do all sorts of weird things as well. So there is an element of that behind it. There is some element of truth to it, but only at an age. Newer cars are about level. So you buy a brand new car today, whether it be Japanese or European, you're going to get basically the same reliability, nearly the same amount of recalls. They're both pretty neck and neck up to an age. Once they get to 5, 6, 7 years old, and then you see the Japanese cars tend to go a bit further without giving too much trouble. Notable to that would be someone like Toyota, who was, mobilized the entire country here in Ireland for years and years. Honda have been ultra reliable over the years, particularly the Z-Tech engines. They've gone for years and years and years. I've seen track days here in Mondello where the only car to survive the humans going round the track on a track day is a Honda Civic. It comes back in, still running, and every other car has blown up or fallen apart at that stage. So, but American cars went through a very bad period of being totally unreliable. So I there is a point where American cars were really poorly built compared to the Europeans, and particularly compared to the Japanese, which is where it happened in America for sure. Doesn't stand up to today, though. That's the big difference between the two. Bob, do you have an extra cost for the plastic bags in supermarkets? Yes, we do. Yep, it's 3 cents in Greece, but it's 26 cents here. We were one of the very first countries in Europe to bring in a charge for plastic bags, and overnight, Irish people stopped buying plastic bags. It just happened. Overnight, we just completely stopped buying plastic bags. We now, every time I go to a shop, I bring a cloth bag. We have a range of cloth bags here for going to shop with. Everybody should be doing that all over the world, but plastic bags is only a very tiny part of the problem when it comes to recycling plastic in general in this country. We need to learn to recycle our own stuff and take responsibility for our own environment and stop sending, because China stopped bringing in outside recycling. And now it's causing problems here. We need to have that sorted long ago. That shouldn't have been, we should never have been exporting plastic to another country for recycling. Eric Rochford, I think that was an L&K Superb you drove in Washington. I think it was too. It was definitely a DSG. I was on the wrong side of the car. It was an Irish car that was brought over to Washington. So it was actually a car that was sold in Ireland and brought to Washington for that not for that video, but it was over there for a user over there. It was on diplomatic plates, which was quite nice. Which means I could go everywhere. The cops were looking at me all the time, following me around the place. And it didn't make it diplomatic. I mean, anyway, I had a nice beard back in the USA video. I did, yeah. I grew a beard that year. Beards were in. I was so ahead of the posse. I got rid of it very quickly, though. Hi, Bob. What do you think of the new Focus? It still looks a little bit like a Hyundai or something. I don't know. Did your channel used to be called Smokers Pack or something like that? It was, yeah. Remember you did a Kia Sportage video, though. It was called Smokers Pack originally. The original story behind that was when I started a website, it was called smokerspack.com. I still own that username. And I called the video channel the same because it was an option you ticked when you bought a new car. So when you were going to buy a brand new car, you had the option to tick a Smokers Pack in the car, which gave you an ashtray and a cigarette lighter. And so I named it after that, but I didn't think the connotations behind it and smoking really worked very well. So I changed it to the Next Gear. And then now, of course, it's just Bob Flavin. But the nextgear.com still exists. Smokerspack.com still exists. It still all comes to me, but Jim. But it used to be called Smokers Pack, yes. Aaron Rowan, thank you very much. You're very, very kind for giving in some money. Great watch as always. It says, anything to say for or against the last generation Q5 I was thinking about buying. I like the Q5. Q5 is a good car. Nothing wrong with that. Always has been. Buy it in Quattro. Get the electric tailgate. It's very nice that way. It's just really, honestly, just a good Audi last generation. Really nice one. I really enjoyed that car. John Carney. Thank you very much, John. John has given some money into super chat as well. All the super chats today, boys. You're coming ways of time, don't you? You're very good. Great watch as always. Hear more, to get more quality content. Looking forward to it every week. Thanks, John. Very good of you. You too can support this channel through Super Chat if you want, like other people just done. You can do it through PayPal, Patreon. Those links are down below. PayPal is particularly welcome. So a Super Chat. Anything is welcome. Any amount of money, it doesn't matter what it is. That's why the Audi A8 video looked such high quality. If you haven't watched that, you need to watch that. It's 10 minutes of gold, man. And the watch time in that video, you're all watching the whole length of the video, which is kind of cool as well. So I'm learning from that. The next videos are going to be on the same sort of level as much as I possibly can. Some of the stuff I filmed before I bought the new equipment and before I put in a new system. So there's some other stuff to filter through, but the newer stuff that's going to come out from now on will be all on that level wherever possible. As long as your support is there, and as long as people like John Carney and Aaron Rowan and the other guys who give money on today, along with, of course, Clearwater.ie down in Carrick-on-Shannon, Clearwater Technologies, they also support channel. That's why they've come back as a new advertiser again this year, which is brilliant to have our old suppliers on again, our old sponsors back to us in the same place. Because, you know, it's nothing worse than trying to look out and trying to explain to everybody what a new sponsor is going to be. There's loads of sponsorship opportunities, by the way. If you're a business and you want to regularly sponsor this and you're not a car company, you can come and talk to me about being a sponsor on this. I will not let a car company sponsor the videos here, despite many requests coming in from them, because it's an impossible situation. I can't tell you your car is crap if you're the sponsor of the channel, right? And plus, this review of a Volkswagen Golf is brought to you by Ford Ireland. It would never work. So, you know, that's not going to work out either. What have I got? Someone's asked me there when the XC40 beyond the 30th of this month is when I'm booked into XC40 for the week. So that's for Carl O'Connorable. That's when the XC40 is on for a test. That's not necessarily when the video will come out, but it'll be around that time. I have had a sneaky drive the XC40. Oh, yeah. How about, did you hear anything about the EV Ford Focus? They didn't mention anything about it, the launch of the new Focus. No, they won't either. Not yet. The first thing that's going to come out will be the Mondeo Hybrid. And I think that's being launched this coming week in Ireland. If I remember, I think it's Wednesday. I'm supposed to be at it. So the Mondeo Hybrid will be the first one. Then you'll see the Mondeo Electric. Then you'll see the Ford Focus will be launched. That's, remember, just an international reveal, Paul, of the Ford Focus, which is static launch. No one's driven it yet. So they haven't given all the details yet. The EV or the hybrid version won't be far behind it. I'd say the EV will probably be 2020. I'd say before we see a proper EV out of Ford. Ford have been doing quite a number of investment. I have spoken at the Mustang launch recently. If you haven't seen that video, you need to watch that video. Mustang video is very good. At the Mustang launch recently, I talked to the head of production, not just for Mustang, for Ford, and I talked to one of the chief designers there, interior designer, and we had a good chat about the future. They are investing heavily in electric cars. There is a lot of work to do for them. They're way behind the ball. Unfortunately, that doesn't come from them. I know that. I know that they're way behind. But they are getting there, slowly but surely chipping away. They are a global brand, and that's the problem for Ford, is they're dealing with Ford F-150s in the US and Ford Focus sitting over here, and it's the same car, and he's just got all his problems. So there's a lot to do for them, but they're getting there. They're getting there, and you'll see the EV version of the cars all come out in the next 2 years. Patience is the key. Click the like button. You only need 2 more likes there to get 100 likes. There's been at least 700 or 800 of you watching this since we started. So get 100 likes there. It'd be brilliant. Click the like button. What else have we got? IKEA has amazing bags for using in supermarkets. I'm also supportive of recycling and disposing responsibly. Just any cotton bag. If you're getting a bag, don't buy a bag in Lidl or Aldi. They're plastic, right? Get cotton bags. You can buy them ecologically sound bags. I'm not talking about going out and trying to chop down a tree and make your own bag from it. But go and get one that's made from cotton, that's made from recycled material, something that will last you a few years. Plus, the bag lasts forever. So you spend £3 or £4 on a little cloth bag, and you've got it forever. It's always there by you. We used them the whole time going to Tesco and Aldi and all these places to do all our shopping. We spread out our shop across every brand, so everybody gets a good swing at it. We always try and buy the thing that has the least amount of plastic on it. So we'll buy loose apples wherever possible, or we'll buy a bag of 10 apples in thin plastic, but we'll try and make sure that's the only thing we buy in that. So ecologically or ecologically sound stuff, we try and make good choices on things. We're trying to put pressure on businesses to do something about it. See, the problem comes from if you put pressure on Aldi, and I've seen a few of these videos now recently where Aldi and Lidl, where customers have walked to the end, they bought all the products, they go to pack their bags and they unpack everything out of the plastic and leave the plastic behind. That's brilliant. That's a silent form of protest. That tells the business, I don't want any of these plastics, it's your problem. And that's great. It's a great way of doing it. I'm not encouraging everybody to do that, but that's a great way of doing it. It's another way of looking at it. We should be disposing of our own stuff. You put the pressure on a business, they will put the pressure on the suppliers to stop doing that. So it will definitely happen in the future. But definitely just check. We don't use single-use plastic. So we don't buy little bottles of water, particularly Tesco's and Aldi and Lidl do it. You get like 50 bottles, little 50 bottles. They call them sport children fun-sized water or something. Don't do that. Buy a big 5-litre bottle of water and get some metal ones. These are metals, these jokes here. Or you can get porcelain ones, you can get metal ones. These are all recyclable equipment that we can all keep using. Any thoughts on a new Infinity variable compression engine? I haven't tested it. I haven't checked it out. I don't really have any thoughts on it because I don't really... Infinity would be something that jumps out here. I know Mazda's doing a variable compression engine at 1.2 petrol, which is on the way. Probably something similar. Won't take very long. Back with a Monday stream. Jokes, remember me? No. Superman junkie mods. No, not really. The first proper Ford EV is the Mach 1 Mustang SUV in 2020. Mach 1. That's going to be fun. Their Focus EV is a conversion no longer sold in right-hand drive and was hot garbage. Ford are behind in getting the battery supply sorted, and they're not going to get any better because battery supply is quite low across the world. People like Hyundai just bought into battery manufacturing. Renault has been doing battery recycling for a while, but I don't know where they've gone with that. But certainly Hyundai is firing money at battery manufacturing at the moment. So they're going to be a global brand. Tesla have been doing it for a while, but I think they're absolutely screwed up with battery supply as well. Elon Musk put out a video the other day explaining the hold up with the Model 3. It just seems to be stupid why they can't just sort it all out. Rob Cousins, hi Bob, what can you tell us about the incoming WLTP testing regime? Will it alter the official CO2 figures and thus increasing VRT road tax in some cars? WLTP, so the problem is the world something. It's all about harmonizing how we do fuel economy tests across the world. Currently, the European one was the one we went by here, and the idea was, you drove the car for a specific time over a specific distance at a specific speed, and it was all measured, and that was the fuel economy. What was really happening was the car companies were removing door mirrors, they were taping up gaps and taking out back seats and taking out anything that would make the car better on fuel economy figures, and that was the figure they were quoting, which is why when I quote a car figure, I'm quoting it from the dashboard in front of me and how I feel about how much fuel is used over the week. And that's kind of real world driving. So what's happening now is this new process is going to be done on a rolling road. All of them will be done on a rolling road, and every car will be tested identically. So wind, taping up gaps, or taking out seats or anything is not going to help you get better fuel economy figures. But it will mean that fuel economy figures will alter to be more realistic. This is the thinking, that'll be more realistic over time. Car companies are masters at finding cracks in the system, and so they will probably exploit those cracks wherever possible. But it seems a harder way to get across it. Now, it will mean that CO2 figures could possibly go up. How that's going to affect future value won't affect your car. You bought it already, it's done. But how it's going to affect future values of stuff, that will remain to be seen as to how we measure it, and whether CO2 figures will actually go up from the fuel economy figures. But it seems to go that way, yes. Bob, will you be writing for the Star again soon? Loved your Mustang article a week ago. Depends if John Mitchell is the deputy editor of the Star, and he's the motoring dude there. So whatever, if he wants it, he gets it. If he doesn't want it, then he doesn't get it. So email John Mitchell and tell me you want more stuff from me. No problem. In case you missed it, if you look at my Instagram, you will see that I did an article for the Daily Star, which is now on buzz.ie, which is their kind of online version of Daily Star. It's called buzz.ie. It's there as well. The full article is there. I actually linked it on my Twitter account, I think. But it is on my Instagram account. You can see the newspaper is the full 2-page spread in the middle of it of myself driving the Mustang, and the picture, the photograph that I was using that was actually taken on that launch, and it is actually me driving the car in the photograph, which is very good. But that was up there. That was a few weeks ago now. But next kind of trips that are coming this week is really, really busy. So if you get a chance, go over to my Instagram account and follow me there, because you will see so much stuff to be done this week. It's going to be hugely busy this week coming up with the Dublin Tech Summit, which is on as well. Casey Neistat's coming to that, but not the one I'm actually there to see. There's a pile of other people who want to see it from the car industry who are coming there. Relatable things to the car industry. I've set up a couple of interviews at the show, so I hope to bring you a video after that once that's over, which will look pretty good. I'm really hoping it's going to be really good, because there's some really unique ideas that's going on at Tech Summit for the way we interact with cars that I think people have overlooked for the traditional media, and I'm going to get it on YouTube. But also the launch of the Mondeo Hybrid is this week. I have the Lexus LH, what's it called? The thing looks like a spaceship. I have that this week. And the Skoda Karoq 1 litre. The Saint ST1 has just joined us. Afternoon. You're 1 hour and 47 minutes late, but afternoon. Carlos says, hi, Mr. Flavin. Greetings from Warrington, Pennsylvania in the USA. Wow, a lot of you USA guys here, which is always good. There's a few of you down today. I've seen that. If you want to support this channel, it'd be really, really good if you could. Some of you have already done it today from the Super Chat, which is available as the little dollar symbol there on your Super Chat thing. It is enabled for this account. You can also do it on PayPal if you want to do that one-off thing. PayPal takes a less cut than Super Chat does. But you can go to paypal.com. There is links down below there, paypal.com/Bob Flavin. But there is a link down below, so click that first. There's Patreon there as well, and you can do the Bitcoin cryptocurrency if you feel like doing cryptocurrency. It's not worth much these days, but it's still worth something. It's probably worth more to me than you, to be honest with you. But all that support means that the last video put out, the Audi A8, has come together now. So new equipment, new ways of recording, new audio, new all sorts of things that I did over the last while. that was a brilliant investment by you guys. It has made the videos harder to make, but it also has made them, in another way, easier to make, because the pressure's kind of off a little bit. And over the next few weeks, you're going to see a huge upturn in the amount of interest that happens in the videos. I'm also celebrating today. We went over 28,000 subscribers this morning, which is quite nice. That was quite nice. It was lovely of you guys to continue subscribing. So spread the word. Subscribe. We're here. You know, click the red button down the bottom. If I click the red button, I end the stream. That's the red button on my screen says end stream. So, Kieran Houlihan. Hi, Bob. Are the fuel economy figures on cars on display really accurate? Read them might not be. Love the car reviews. Did a marathon session of watching them on Friday night. Good man, Kieran. That's the way to do it. Marathon sessions and binge watching and stuff is the way a lot of people actually watch my stuff. They put on the autoplay and it just does the next one. They seem fairly accurate. I don't know how much trust the average fuel economy, I don't know how much trust I put in that. But when I'm looking at the instant fuel economy, I can get an idea how it feels. But generally, the average one is somewhere in the region of what you're actually going to be putting into the fuel tank. You can measure it out. You can do it really accurately. The most accurate way of measuring your fuel economy is to brim the tank to the absolute limit. Zero your trip counter and drive for 100 kilometers. Come back to that same fuel station after 100 kilometers and brim the tank again. Look how many liters it takes to fill. At that point, you know how many liters it took from there to there, and that's how many liters you get per 100 kilometers over that kind of driving. So that is the way to do it, but that requires a lot of money, a lot of patience, a lot of time, and it only works with one brand, so I don't do that part. But I do have a lot of plans for doing some bits and pieces this year on some really tricky things that haven't been dealt with by the car industry. Particularly love the Yeti farewell one, which name I can. Yeah, that's a popular video. Yeah, myself and Sinead. And the team from Skoda went up to Donegal and spent a whole weekend driving around in the freezing cold. And in that video, we were going to give Sinead her hair was going to get its own credit, because in every shot her hair was going out the front or over the back. It was really windy that weekend. It was really cold up there, but it was good crack. We had great crack that kind of video. We did actually drive up a closed road on a mountain that we got the county council to give us permission to do it. It was great crack to do it. But I definitely, the other Skoda Karoq one, myself and Sinead did in Sicily, where we spent the 3 days acting the bollocks down in Sicily on a sort of a golf course thing and up a mountain in a vineyard. We just parked inside of a mountain in a vineyard. But that was good crack as well. We did that ourselves. Bob, can you see what areas of the world most viewers are located, apart from Ireland, the most viewers from? English-speaking countries is the way that works. So generally, the UK gives me the most amount of views, just simply because sheer volume of the amount of people over there, if you count it by direct numbers. Percentage-wise, I'm hugely popular. Half the viewers come from Ireland. That's this last 2 years, Ireland has gone straight up to the top now. USA is in there as well. I think it's number 3 or 4 or something. And then Australia and some oddball countries that Irish people live in. Irish people like to hear the accent, of course, is one thing. But the US and Australia like to hear the accent as well, the other part of it. But generally speaking, it's UK, Ireland, and America would be the top 3. They swap around a bit. But by proportion of views, Ireland's number 1. By sheer numbers, UK is number 1. Hi, Bob, says Ricky Finley. Hi, Ricky. How are you doing? JHK, I got back. I went to buy an Inza 2017, 28, didn't a Beta on the clock. Test drive, speedometer read 180 kph, going round and round and round. Ended up with an Audi A1 Sportback 2014. Your video was a help. Thanks. No problem. I'm glad it was a help. I like the A1. I still like the A1. I think it's a good, clean looking, nice, future-proof sort of car. I mean, it's fancy looking, but it's not too fancy looking. And it's quite nice in that respect, but it is quite small, a bit cramped in the back. I had a 1993 MG Maestro. Did you? Are you mad? MG Maestro? That's not blowing up or falling apart. So, sorry. No. I had a speaking trip computer. Yeah, I remember that. That used to be an ad on TV. And I remember that being on the original Top Gear. That was on the original Top Gear. Fuel flow monitor was surprisingly accurate. The voice announcements were annoying. Yeah, I know. Actually, the other day, I was getting out of that Audi. And when you have your phone plugged in to the Bluetooth or plugged into the USB port, when you get out of the Audi, it goes, your phone is still in the car. You get out. It's a really good little reminder. It's quite nice. But it actually says this very deep, breathy voice. Your phone is still in the car. Funny Ferrari says, you have nearly 6 times more subscribers than Cars Ireland. And that's why we work together. I get some of her viewers and she gets some of mine. It's collaboration. It's a great thing. YouTube channel. Safe to say, you're the biggest motoring channel in Ireland, probably one of the biggest Irish YouTube channels, full stop. I wouldn't be one of the biggest Irish. It's funny how you count it. I don't know. Like there's some place like the Facts channel was probably one of the biggest Irish YouTube channels. I think that's gone. I think that's finished. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But and then there's Jacksepticeye. He'd be one of the biggest in the world, being an Irish channel, but he's not really an Irish channel anymore. I think he lives in Brighton now or somewhere. But he's still Irish. So I've met him once, and I know his mother. Really nice people. But I definitely one of the biggest motoring channels. But I was shadow I'd say I'm the biggest motoring channel, particularly motoring review channel. But I'm not the only one. And I'm always open to, like, I love everybody to succeed. I'm not looking to kind of beat anybody down or beat anybody up about it. But what I would love to do is collaborations with other ones. Like any collaboration I've done with Sinead has been huge, brilliant. Worked for both of us. Like the Scotta Carrock one in Sicily has nearly 100,000 views on it now. It's massive. There's the two of us in the channel. So we got she got subscribers out of that. I got subscribers out of that. It worked for both of us. Now, I'd love to find someone else to do a crossover with. And there's a few of those on the way, but they're just hard to manage and it's hard to get going. And it's very little support in Ireland. And there's very few YouTubers in Ireland that are in that sort of size of channel that makes any sense for me to go with. There's no point in going out and finding someone who has 5 subscribers and doing a hookup with them. You could do it, but I don't know what use it's going to be to them or to me. I don't know which one. Plus, cars are the big part of it, you know. Going on holiday soon, renting a Hyundai i10 just for a little run around. I am doing that myself. I don't know what I'm renting, but I've rented a car. First time I've rented a car in years. But I'm going on holidays later on in the year, so I will be renting a car. I don't know what it is though. It's whatever the smallest car they I don't care about the size of car. Hey Bob, what would you go for, a VW Arteon or a Skoda Superb Sportline? I'm looking at 2-litre 150 brake horsepower in each of them. Arteon has probably got the bigger boot, but it is a 4-door, think 4-door saloon, 4-door hatch, right? Skoda Superb Sportline is the same sort of car, but the Superb has a much bigger back seat, so much more room, leg room in the back seat. But if you stand out on the side of the road and watch how many cars have people actually in the back seat of them, not many. So I would probably, for the sake of just buying something that looks really sharp and looks good as a real good suit, I'd go the Arteon. Plus it has frameless windows and it has some very nice features, really good dashboard in as well. Very quiet car. That's a good engine, either car. Superb will give you more room. If you're buying the estate one, you're going to get a giant of a car. It is a little bit sloppier and has a nice sharp exterior to it, but I'd still go Arteon on that one, just between the two. My God, there's still 70 of you watching. That has never gone down. It's only gone up. You've been very, very good to watch this far into it. We are 1 hour and 56 in, which is probably the longest one I've done so far in the last few weeks. This will, of course, go out as a podcast on the channel. If you want to subscribe there, go over to iTunes, not iTunes, whatever it's called. Do you know the podcast thing that Apple has? Go in there and search for Bob Flavin. Search wherever your podcast is, because it's on multiple places as far as I know. And it's also on a place called Podbean, where it's hosted. So you can check it out there. If you go to podbean.com and search for Bob Flavin, you'll find the Sunday service there, or search for the Sunday service on Google and you'll see it'll pop up, which is this live stream on a podcast version, so you can watch it or listen to it later. You won't be able to watch it. Loads of plans come for later on the year. I love your support. Your support has made the last Audi A8 video possible, the way it could look like that. It's, you know, it looks buttery smooth. Everything looks really professional. So that's come from the funding you guys have supplied. And of course, our brilliant sponsors for the channel as well, which is Clearwater.ie. You can check them out on Clearwater.ie, actually. Clearwater Technologies down in Carrick-on-Shannon. Definitely worth checking them out if you've got any questions about water, I suppose, or about cleaning water, and industrial type one, not your home things. But definitely check those guys out. Check out the sponsors. Check out the links down below for Patreon, PayPal, and all the rest of them. I'm delighted that you all watched so long. It's been a huge stream this week, much bigger than I thought it was. Tons of questions gone by, and this 2 hours has flown by, and hopefully it's brightened your Sunday. I'm sending you all of the positive vibes I possibly can. Hopefully next week will bring you everything you've ever dreamed of in life, and if it doesn't, make sure you get through to next Sunday for the next Sunday service. But until the next time, I will see you on the far side.